Hey everyone, Spicy Toast Gaming here, and it's time for this week's weekly adventures. So we have a 1.5, a 1, and a 4.5 star adventure. That is quite strange. I don't think I've ever seen where this is a higher star than this one over here. Very weird. Anyways, for the 1.5, very simple. Game start, all players summon a Mana Soul student, which you can see right here. This is generally best for both Jin or Annie. They both work very well with this individual, but it could also be fine for any champion if you just wanted to maybe run Corrupted Star Fragment and just consume this if you're not really going to be able to be proccing those spells and skills, or go for one of the champions that can just outscale the enemies. So someone like Garen, Kayn, Tahm Kench, any of those would also be fine. But if you're wanting to actually utilize its effect, Annie's really the best, and then Jin is probably second. Next up, we have round start, all players spawn 1, so you just make Tentacle. And then bar fight, when a unit is summoned, shuffle its stats. Now, Alawi obviously works well with the Tentacles, so that wouldn't be terrible. But I think the best way to utilize this is use one of the champions that scales off the enemy having units. So again, someone like Garen or especially Kayn. Kayn, one thing that he struggles with is sometimes the enemy units are too strong for his units to kill and start their scaling. But with this Tentacle, they're going to be summoning a Tentacle every round. If you kill it every round, then it's just going to stay a 1-1, so you can just keep killing it over and over again, scaling up. So Kayn would probably be great here, being able to benefit from this Tentacle of the enemy, scaling his units up into absolute monsters. Last up, we have Age of Conquest. When the foe's units attack, grant the strongest attacking unit 2 power. Then remove the imperfection. When the foe summons a unit, recall one of the player's followers with less power than it. And then the vicious enemy. So a couple different ways to deal with this. Either focus on using your champion, because your champion won't get recalled, only your followers. So use a champion focus deck such as Diana or Jax, or just go for one of the decks where you're trying to scale up your units to pretty crazy degrees and just make it so the enemy is likely to never be able to stop your unit scaling. So you could go with someone like Bard. Bard might struggle in the very beginning to start his scaling, so you might get some of your units removed. But again, going with some of those great scaling units such as Kayn, Garen, Tahm Kench, any of those would probably be quite good because you can just immediately start scaling your units up and making it so the enemy just can't deal with how strong your units are. Or you can go with the strategy of just having some really cheap units that you know the enemy will recall. You don't really care about them getting recalled, so maybe go with like Kindred, where you're summoning all these different prey. That way if the enemy recalls one of your prey, you don't really care, it's not that big of a deal, and that will protect the units you actually do care about. So a couple different ways you can play around this, but this is one you want to be very mindful of, because if you don't play around it, you could get screwed over by it. Also, one thing that I forgot to mention at the very beginning, probably don't want to do any of these until after Wednesday. So this week is the week we're getting a new patch. So waiting until we get the new content so that the rewards you get potentially will roll for that new content, especially the champion shards you get from the vault. Normally a good idea to wait on these until the new patch actually drops, which will be on Wednesday, normally in the afternoon, at least for me. Alright, that's it for this weekly. Hope you all have a great day and a great week.